Welcome to Medical ABC. Today we'll be talking about viral corneal ulcer. Whenever a virus invades the eye, it not only affects the corneal epithelium but also the conjunctival epithelium. So virus, cornea and conjunctiva. Virus is double C, cornea and conjunctiva, resulting in viral keratoconjunctivitis, that is inflammation of both cornea and conjunctiva, termed as keratoconjunctivitis. The common viral infections include herpes simplex keratitis, herpes zoster ophthalmicus, and adenovirus keratitis, of which we'll be talking only about herpes simplex keratitis in this video. The ocular lesions of herpes simplex virus include primary herpes and recurrent herpes. When the when the virus attacks the host for the very first time, it is known as primary ocular herpes or primary herpes. It usually affects a non-immune person, where a person's immunity is very weak. It usually affects the children between 6 months to 5 years and teenagers. While the recurrent herpes is actually the reactivation of the dormant virus from the trigeminal ganglion. So after primary herpes, the virus do not just exit the body as such, it goes and remains latent in the trigeminal ganglion. An important MCQ, where does the virus remain latent? In the trigeminal ganglion. So once the virus is reactivated after a period of time due to some stress or some stimuli which triggered it, it gets reactivated and then it causes the recurrent herpes. And while recurrent herpes comes, there is no systemic features. So from this point you can understand that recurrent herpes does not have systemic features while primary herpes had systemic features. That's why it is written here as not associated with systemic features. So recurrent herpes not associated with systemic features while primary herpes will have systemic features. And the recurrent herpes link. So we'll go into detail of primary herpes. Like I told you earlier, the primary herpes will definitely have systemic features, which are fever, malaise, non-suppurative lymphadenopathy, encephalitis rarely. The skin lesions of primary herpes include vesicular lesions on skin of face and lid. Ocular lesions include the most common and often the only manifestation, which is acute follicular conjunctivitis. So acute follicular conjunctivitis is a very common manifestation of primary herpes. MCQ again. The only manifestation or the most common manifestation of primary herpes is acute follicular conjunctivitis. While it also shows keratitis, which is inflammation of cornea, which can either be a coarse punctate like a dot 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 or a diffuse branching like branches. Next is, the primary herpes usually is self-limiting, but yes, I told you again, the virus remains latent in trigeminal ganglion causing recurrent herpes. So primary herpes, virus do not exit the body, remains latent in the trigeminal ganglion. After a few period of time, what happens due to some trigger, due to some stimuli, this virus becomes activated again and then it causes recurrent herpes. And the treatment for primary herpes aims at reducing the corneal involvement, which is by using topical trifluridine or vidarabine or oral acyclovir. Oral acyclovir, very common drug for you. Next is recurrent herpes. Recurrent herpes include epithelial keratitis and stromal keratitis. When it involves the epithelium of the cornea, it is epithelial keratitis, while if it involves the stroma, the third layer is stromal keratitis. In epithelial keratitis, you can see these three, which are punctate epithelial keratitis, dendritic ulcer, and geographic ulcer. In stromal keratitis, you can see deciform keratitis and diffuse stromal necrotic keratitis. So in epithelial keratitis, there are three, which are punctate epithelial keratitis, dendritic ulcer, and geographical ulcer. So first we'll see one by one of epithelial keratitis, then we'll go into stromal keratitis. So first we'll see the punctate epithelial keratitis. So the punctate epithelial keratitis will have the following symptoms. Symptoms are nothing but what the patient says. The patient who is having a punctate epithelial keratitis will have redness, pain, photophobia, tearing, and decreased vision. You know what a punctum is, right? A punctate epithelial keratitis, you know what a punctum is. Punctum is nothing but something which has many dots or several dots. Yeah, so before I tell you about the signs, I have to draw the diagram of punctate epithelial keratitis. So this is the cornea. This is the cornea. Punctate epithelial keratitis is nothing but many dots, punctum. So this is how the epithelium of a person who's having punctate epithelial keratitis will look like. So we have talked about the symptoms and the diagram. Next is about the signs, what the doctor gets from what the patient have said and what the doctor have seen. Signs include nothing but it resembles lesions of primary herpes. So though it is a recurrent herpes in infection, it resembles lesions of primary herpes because it is very simple. It's a very simple keratitis. So it resembles lesions of primary herpes. It is either fine epithelial punctate or coarse epithelial punctate. So the epithelium will have either fine punctate or coarse, very hard, very hardened than fine. So it can either be fine epithelial punctate or coarse epithelial punctate on the epithelium. The ulcer can be both fine or coarse. It differs. And the vesicles in the cornea coalesce, it combines, and then erupt to form lesions. So the vesicles which you can find, the vesicles, the small vesicles which are projected on the cornea will combine together and then they will break, they will erupt to form ulcers. So these vesicles only are forming ulcer in the case of punctate epithelial keratitis. So the vesicles present in the cornea will combine together. Once they combine, they are large enough and they'll break. The top of it will break and that will form an ulcer. And that can either be a dendritic ulcer or geographic ulcer. So we'll see what are dendritic and geographic ulcers in the next slide. Before getting into the dendritic or geographic ulcer, you have to know we have finished the topic of punctate epithelial keratitis. So this leads for the chances of dendritic or geographic ulcer, which are nothing but the next two topics of epithelial keratitis, that is epithelial involvement. So dendritic and geographic ulcer are nothing but epithelial keratitis. So dendritic ulcer. The most common lesion of recurrent epithelial keratitis, the most common lesion of a recurrent herpes lesion is dendritic. That's why I've marked it here. Dendritic ulcer is the most common of recurrent herpes lesion. Okay, so the recurrent epithelial keratitis most common is dendritic ulcer, and the ulcer will be, why it is known as dendritic? It is irregular, it is zigzag mannered and linear branch. You can see the branch is coming out of the ulcer. The thing I have forgotten to mark here is that, yes, the branches are knobbed at the ends. The branches are knobbed at the ends. So at the ends you will have knobs. So dendritic ulcer is irregular, zigzag and linear branching, and it will have branches knobbed at the ends. So the branches will have knob at the ends in dendritic ulcer. And the floor of the ulcer takes up fluorescent dye, and margins containing the virus-laden cells, dead cells, take up the rose Bengal dye. So this I have already told in the video of bacterial corneal ulcer that the floor of an ulcer takes up fluorescent dye, while the margins will take up rose Bengal dye. And MCQ from this point of view was that the margins contain what? It contains virus-laden cells, and that takes up what dye? Rose Bengal dye. So this is about dendritic ulcer. The ulcer, you have to remember only the features of the ulcer, which is nothing but irregular, zigzag, linear branching, and branches will have knobs at the end. Floor will take up fluorescent dye, while margins will take up rose Bengal dye. Next is geographic ulcer. Often the branches of dendritic ulcer, these branches, it will have knobs, okay, it's gone somewhere, I don't know. So these branches of this dendritic ulcer will join to form a large epithelial ulcer with amoeboid or geographic shape. You know the shape of amoeba. It's irregular, it's zigzag, it's you don't have a definite shape for an amoeba. Just like that, geographic ulcer is amoeboid. So it is also known as amoeboid ulcer or geographic ulcer. And this is also an epithelial ulcer involving only the epithelium. Use of steroids in dendritic ulcer also enhances the formation of geographic ulcer. So geographic ulcer can be formed as formed on its own, or it can also be formed when someone uses steroids for the treatment of dendritic ulcer. So a patient having dendritic ulcer, if he uses steroids, it will only cause a large ulcer, which is geographic ulcer. So steroids are contraindicated in dendritic ulcer or any epithelial ulcer. because it will enhance the formation of a very big ulcer. So this is how you draw a geographic ulcer. It's just no shapes, no definite shape, just like an amoeba. Next is the treatment of epithelial keratitis. The epithelial keratitis means involving only the epithelial layer of the cornea. So the antiviral drugs used are, we use the ointment of 3% acyclovir, and that has to be used 5 times a day for 14 to 21 days. And then if the person is not non-compliant to the acyclovir, or if the person is allergic to these drug, what do we do? What should we do? We have to remove the virus-laden cells. I already told you the virus-laden cells present in the margin. You have to remove that cells with the help of a sterile cotton applicator under magnification. So we have to magnify the eye, we have to see it properly, then we have to use a sterile cotton applicator to remove the virus-laden cells. That has to be done very carefully. Only if the person is allergic to the antiviral drugs, or if the person is not responding to the drug, we are using this method. Next, if at the epithelial level there is an active viral lesion, so since the ulcer is at the epithelial level, the virus lesion is active. Hence, we have to also use systemic antiviral drugs for a period of 10 to 21 days. So for the period of 10 to 21 days, there is an active viral lesion since the ulcer is at epithelial level. So at the epithelial level, we have to use this as well, which is systemic antiviral drugs, which is that tab acyclovir. So this is just topical, this is oral. Tab acyclovir 400 milligram twice a day or 3 times a day. So there is nothing complicated here, as both are acyclovir. One is just topical and the other one is oral. One is systemic, the other one is local. And if the patient who is having this epithelial keratitis is allergic to the drug, of course I told you, we have to do this method. Next, we are going to the stromal keratitis. So we finished the epithelial keratitis, which is this. We finished this. Finished punctate epithelial keratitis, we know how to draw it. Dendritic, we finished learning that. Geographic also, we finished. Next is the stromal keratitis, that is an ulcer, a keratitis involving the stromal layer. So this is very huge. Deciform keratitis and diffuse stromal necrotic keratitis. First we will see deciform keratitis. Deciform keratitis. So what does this deciform mean? Okay, keratitis, it's inflammation of cornea. What does deciform mean? Deciform is round. Deciform means nothing but round in shape. So deciform keratitis is a delayed hypersensitivity reaction to HSV antigen, herpes simplex virus antigen. So it's a delayed reaction, delayed hypersensitivity reaction to type 4 MCQ again. Deciform keratitis is type 4 reaction to HSV antigen. So what happens here is that there is endotheliitis, endothelium inflammation. Endothelium is the most the innermost layer of the cornea. So there is inflammation of that, which causes, of course, the damage of endothelium. And then there is deciform corneal stromal edema. So what are the symptoms a person having deciform keratitis tell you? They'll have photophobia and reduction in visual acuity. And next, the signs are focal disc-shaped patch of stromal edema without necrosis. Yes, this is a very important point in deciform keratitis. The signs, the focal disc shape. So it's a round. Yeah, I told you, deciform is round. So the ulcer is disc shaped, round patch of stromal edema without necrosis. So this ulcer this keratitis does not have necrosis. In bacterial corneal ulcer, we dealt with the ulcer surrounded by necrosis of different WQ factor, different necrosis. But here it is without necrosis. And there are decimate membrane folds. The layer decimate membrane will have folds in it. And there is increased intraocular pressure of the eye and keratic precipitates under the edema. So under the stromal edema, the stroma will have edema in it. Under the stromal edema will have keratic precipitates. Then you can see Wesley immune ring at times, not always, but maybe it might be present. Wesley immune ring will be present in which case, in which condition? Deciform keratitis. and diminished corneal sensation. So once there is this infection, you'll have diminished corneal sensation. The corneal sensation is reduced. So these start points, it is keratic precipitates under edema and diminished corneal sensations. If these two are present, you can definitely say the stromal edema is because of deciform keratitis. Because there are many other conditions where you can see stromal edema. There are many other diseases where there is edema of the stroma. But how can you differentiate that stromal edema from deciform keratitis? It is when you see these two features. Keratic precipitates under edema and diminished corneal sensations differentiate stromal edema of other causes. This is the main features of deciform keratitis. Keratic precipitates under edema and diminished corneal sensations. Next is the treatment for deciform keratitis. It includes topical steroid eye drops. Oh my god. For the last few slides dealing with epithelial ulcers, I have told you the steroids are contraindicated because it will only enhance the ulcer. But in the case of stromal involvement, which is not epithelium, just underlying layer. So in case of stromal involvement, you can use steroid eye drops. The topical steroid eye drops you have to use 4 to 5 times a day, and it has to be tapered over a period of several weeks. Tapered over means nothing but you have to reduce it according to the time. Like as the time progresses, you have to reduce the amount of drops that you use. Tapered over is nothing but reduce over period of several weeks. So we start with a huge amount or the amount the doctor prescribed, then we'll reduce it according to the time. And then is 3% acyclovir twice a day. Yes, again acyclovir. And if there is both deciform keratitis with epithelial ulcer, oh my god. So this is a complication. This is a very important thing that you have to keep in mind, that if it is just deciform keratitis, that is if it is only involving the stroma, then you can use steroid eye drops because there is no epithelial involvement. But if there is both epithelial involvement and stromal, that is deciform keratitis, stromal involvement, you have to treat the epithelial ulcer first with antivirals. You have to treat the epithelial ulcer first using antivirals, which is already dealt in the previous slide. What are the antivirals to be used for epithelial ulcer? So after treating the epithelial ulcer only, you can use the steroids for deciform keratitis, because you know in the case of an epithelial ulcer, steroids are contraindicated. So before steroid use, you have to start the treatment for antivirals to treat the epithelial ulcer. Then you have to use the steroids for the deciform keratitis. Next is the stromal keratitis, which is stromal necrotic keratitis. It is diffuse stromal necrotic keratitis, which is this. So we finished deciform keratitis. Now we are going to the second topic of stromal keratitis, is diffuse stromal necrotic keratitis. Yes. So it is nothing but an interstitial keratitis caused by active viral invasion and tissue destruction. To be remembered here is active viral invasion. So the symptoms the patient presented with stromal necrotic keratitis is that they will have pain, photophobia, redness. The signs include the corneal lesions are necrotic, cheesy white infiltrates. Yeah, there is necrosis. Of course, the name itself says there is necrosis, and there is cheesy white infiltrates. You can see, the doctor can see in the eye the cheesy white infiltrates under the epithelium. And the epithelium, here we are talking about the stromal keratitis. So the epithelium can either be intact, which is normal, or it can be damaged also. So either under the intact or ulcerated epithelium, you can find these stuffs, which are necrotic, cheesy white infiltrates under this epithelium. Then there is mild iritis, inflammation of iris, and keratic precipitates. So keratic precipitates are not only seen in the deciform keratitis, but also stromal necrotic keratitis. So keratic precipitates you can add as a sign in both the topics, which comes under the stromal keratitis. So there is keratic precipitates here as well. Then there is main feature of stromal necrotic keratitis is stromal vascularization. You know, in an inflammation there is angiogenesis. Just like that, in the stroma there is vascularization, and it takes time to heal. It takes time to be normal. So the main feature of stromal necrotic keratitis is stromal vascularization. The treatment includes systemic antiviral drugs. Why systemic antiviral drugs? Because of active viral invasion, and that has to be taken for 10 to 21 days. And then the keratoplasty. Keratoplasty is nothing but corneal grafting, that is new graft. So the corneal grafting, that is keratoplasty, it should not be done until there is a gap of several months with no steroids. So steroids have been already used in the case of a stromal keratitis. Topical steroids have been used. So in that person, we cannot do keratoplasty for few months. We have to leave a gap of few months with no steroid use. Why? Because we are using a new graft here. In the keratoplasty, we are using a new corneal graft. So there are chances that that the herpes can recur in the new graft also. So we have to leave a gap of several months between the surgery, between the keratoplasty and steroid use. We have to leave some time of several months between the use of new graft and use of steroids. So this is all about the herpes simplex keratitis. The other topic which comes under the viral corneal ulcer is herpes zoster ophthalmicus, which will be dealt in the next video. Thank you for watching Medical ABC. Do like, share and